to click. So this is this one,
Yeah.
and this is just for you if you want. This is not on anything. It's just,
Yeah.
So you click on here.
Yep. Oh, good. So anyway, the state of the metaverse. But the keyboard's not active. So,
No, the big one.
yeah,
Oh, hold on.
there we go.
Okay, good.
All right. Hey, starting again. So, who am I? Why am I here? I've been doing this for a very long time. Since the beginning of computer graphics. I have a paper out there from 1996 about interpolating point data from photogrammetry pairs that basically makes Google Earth happen. Since then, I've been involved in all kinds of stuff, working with the government, working in cave systems, DARPA, back to 1997, and everything in between. Since 2007, I've been heavily involved in everything that you can think about, from commercials to video games, and primarily focusing my attention on what makes graphics pipelines work. That's really my focus, is being a pipeline engineer for computer graphics. Most recently, last year, I published 4 papers with Johns Hopkins University about using AR, XR technology in the operating room, as well as developing technologies in the enterprise space, in the medical space. Since then, I have switched and I'm now working at Amazon. And I'm now the program lead at NYU for AR/VR technology, and I'm also an associate professor at MIT in XR technology. So, a bit about me, but really, what is the metaverse? I mean, does anybody know? I mean, what is this thing, right? It's a big buzzword, right? Everybody's talking about it. It's like blown up all over the place, and it's going to be on Time Magazine starting tomorrow. I actually wish this talk was next week, because then I could reference this book. This book is actually published. Mr. Matthew Ball, he is he's a futurist, and one of the reasons that Zuckerberg actually has done what he's done. He references Matthew Ball in his rhetoric, as well as Elon Musk and all the other players. So this book comes out tomorrow, as well as the Time Magazine op-ed declaring that the metaverse is going to change everything. What? Well, stop the freaking hype, because it's really all a lot of buzzwords. The metaverse is nothing more than AR, VR, XR development. It is not some dream state that exists outside of what we're already doing. It simply is what we do, right? So stop the hype, bring it back down to reality. That's really the key point of my speech and this talk. The metaverse is great if you want to think about it that way, right? And it is a thing. I mean, it's brought a lot of global attention to what we're doing in XR development, right? But it's not some magical thing that's going to be developed because they call it metaverse, right? So just keep that in mind. That being said, let's take a look back about in the Wayback Machine, right? So what started this whole thing, okay? This has been going on for 80 plus years now, if you actually think about it. The beginnings of optical resolution overlaid onto reality for us to experience something else. That's really what we're talking about, right? There's been a whole lot of development over time to flesh this out and make it a reality. So it's been going on for a very long time. But I want to put it into perspective, like what the quote metaverse actually is and how it fits within the framework of what we're doing today, right? And thinking about that, everything that we do with an AR, VR, XR headset is a phone. And how to get a 3D experience through a phone. So when we think about that, looking back in time to the beginning of when this started, my first cell phone, I had one in 1994. I don't know how many of you actually had a phone back in 1994. That was my first phone, right? And through all the stages of what the phone development progression was, from having something small and nimble actually work, to adding a keyboard, to the next stage, which was quasi operating system with a tactile touchpad, to the dream of having an operating system on your phone, right? And this only happened in 2004. So, but still, between 2004 and where we are now, with a full-fledged touchscreen, right? That's a period of time, right? So just keep that in your brain about the context of what we're talking about, because the origins of the metaverse started in 1994 and about that period of time, right? Like the dream of having virtual reality, and it was going to change everything. So it's taken quite a while to establish that in everyday use, right? And how does that impact us on a day-to-day basis, right? Not only that, but what did it take as a developer or an engineer in order to make this entire thing happen? Okay. So another frame of reference. We talk about hypercard, right? This is the beginning of hypertext technology on the Apple, out in 1987. This seems like a dream away, right? But for those that were there, it was, holy God, this is the future, right? It was game changing. You could actually take stuff, you didn't have to type everything out to get to the next step. You could pull up a window and click on something and get some information, and then click to the next thing and get more information. It was revolutionary. Right? Part of that next step in between here, just for another frame of reference, virtuality was the first commercial implementation of VR technology for the masses. I don't know if any of you remember that, but they installed these in shopping malls and various other centers that you could go, and it was expensive. I remember I paid $60 an hour to go experience these things, right? It was this, you step into this thing and it had the same implements that we use today. It had hand controllers, but the headset was massive. It was like gigantic, right? But just frame of reference, this happened back in 1991. Okay. And the thought of this happened in 1943, right? So this has been a long time coming. Netscape in 1994, the origins of the internet. I remember being in computer science school, and when Netscape first came out, the only thing that we could do is talk at my key. Right? And but it was so cool because you could actually make a computer do something. But the whole range of everything that we've been doing and how long it's taken to get this far. It seems very long, but if you look at it, it's very, very short, right? So the Oculus 2012. So this is 12 years ago, at this point, right? And the HoloLens 2015, right? So that being said, are we ready for Ready Player One? We've all seen the movie, right? Who's seen the movie Ready Player One? Right? Most people? Well, Ready Player One is a movie by Steven Spielberg in which virtual reality has encompassed the planet, right? And it's part of and parcel of everything we do. And I think in a lot of people's minds, that's the vision of what the metaverse is, right? Is that we're going to put these headsets on and everybody's going to exist in this alternate reality, and it's going to change reality as we know it, and we're just, half of our lives are going to exist in that thing, and it's happening right now because the media says the metaverse is here, right? So And this goes for enterprise as well. That there's so much buzz about what AR, VR, XR stuff will do that there's no contextualization about how. How do we get there, right? If Ready Player One is the vision, then how do we get there, right? But is that really the vision that we all want? Probably not, you know, and that's something to think about, you know, when as AR, VR, XR developers, what is the future going to entail, right? How do we incorporate that into our daily lives? What does that mean? And how do we get there? As a, not only as a developer, but as a user, right? What does the user actually want? What do they need? And I think that's really the question that we need to ask. And the question, the deep-rooted question that needs to be answered is, what does this serve? And how are we serving that in a way that makes sense, right? Because we can make eye candy all day long, just like video games. It's part of the reason I don't really like video games. Is I mean, I love movies, but a movie is succinct and time boxed, whereas a video game can suck somebody in so far that they're spending hundreds and hundreds of hours in a thing that may not actually make sense and serve anybody. What does that serve, right? So these are fundamental questions I think that we all need to ask ourselves about why we're doing what we're doing, right? So again, so that being said, now that we've thought about that, what really is the metaverse? And what really could the metaverse become, right? So we have, it's a smorgasbord. And this chart kind of describes it, at least on a fundamental level, if you box it in a way. So on the top level, we have digital life and what that means to a user and how they might use it. You know, I think from the infographics, you can get the gist. You know, we have video games, we have chat, we have commerce, we have communication, text messages for you know, work-related efforts. We have, and then on the far end, we have entertainment, right? And so, if we think about all those things, how do we bucket them for developing and designing the metaverse, right? From there, the step down, we go into what's being classified as the interconnected virtual worlds. Okay? And these will be, as we progress, various different buckets of what type of consumerism you need day to day. So you could be in a completely entertainment virtual world. We could be in a completely enterprise-based virtual world, right? And all of these things are going to be on their own servers on the planet somewhere, right? That being said, are they all going to be good? Right? So we all don't want the evil overlord to come knock on your door and tell you what to do. This has got to be self-managing, right? In some way, which we all do every day. If you think about it, we exist here day to day, you and me. We're in this room because we agree on a set of standards that we live by. Right? Same thing. The interconnected virtual universe, right? So from there, digital avatars, who we wish to be, virtual environments, what those are proposed to be, and virtual goods and services as they're sold and or given out between universes, right? This is key. These three worlds may not exist in the same space, but at this level, you can actually communicate from one to the other, right? So, how does this all work? So, AR, VR, MR, that's where we are. Brain computer interfaces. Okay. Everybody freaks out when you talk about it a little bit. It's happening. Okay. Has anybody seen the release from Microsoft 2 days ago? Okay. They canned the HoloLens 3, and they're coming out with a new device that has direct skull Bluetooth integration. It's not, they don't tell you that, but it can be used for that. Okay. That's a real thing. All these other things, just other aspects of what it's going to take to make the metaverse work, right? My friend here talked about NFTs about 4 weeks ago, right? So I actually think that NFTs are a very good thing because they are monetizing digital content. That has never been done before. And that's been a really big problem. That's why if you're in the space, you are undervalued, underpaid, and not respected for what you do, right? So with the monetization of digital content, that's going to go away eventually. So the big piece of this that most people don't think is what it's going to take to make all of this work, right? And that's this, all of the infrastructure, right? It's not just making happy, funny 3D worlds for people. There is a ton of engineering happening all over the place to make this happen. I was part of a symposium today in which a statement was made that there's going to be $1.3 trillion invested over the next 5 years in order to make this happen, right? So it's not a small thing, okay? So where are we for real? This is really real, right? So if I look back at it, okay, where we are essentially is at the place we were in 1990 when Windows 3.0 was launched. We kind of had some vague ideas about UI UX and what it was going to do, and how it was going to work, but nobody understood anything about what it was going to turn into, right? Versus today. So, what are the markets? Fashion, retail, automotive, banking, consumer electronics, entertainment media, sports, real estate, restaurants, healthcare, education, travel, manufacturing. I think there's two left off of here, which is science and engineering. And I think those are actually more important than these, because what comes out of science and engineering use cases actually trickles down to make this stuff happen, right? That's what I've done in my career. So, who are the key players? Just to give you an idea. Meta, which is now Facebook, for infrastructure. They have a new headset coming out, which is classified camera. Amazon, Microsoft, Google, all big players. Some of the ones that I don't think people have actually thought about: Snapchat. I know the senior engineer there. They're coming out with their own AR development platform, completely node-based, which I think is going to spur the others. Another one that I don't think people actually think about, or that is new news, is Bosch, who are known for making fridges in Europe. They have just announced that they are doing the design for micro optic projectors for Microsoft. And they are investing $1.5 billion in that new plant, just to give you an idea. So, where are we in the meantime today? What is the state of technology? It's a mess. There's too much for any one person to wrap their brain. Everybody out there is spending hundreds of millions of dollars in AR, VR, and XR. Right? And it's not just on entertainment, it's not on the things that you think about on a day-to-day basis. And the reason that this is important is this is a fundamental change in how why the quote metaverse is actually going to happen. Businesses across the planet, very large, have decided today that it's not pre-development time. Nobody's doing POCs now, proof of concepts, and saying, oh, we got this funny thing or this cool thing that we may try and make happen. And it will, you don't have to sell anything. Businesses get it. and it's huge, right? One of the big things happening is Web 3.0. I was one of the talks that I saw today was from a company called XCOM, and they were started by a bunch of people who left Qualcomm about 7 to 10 years ago. If you go, Qualcomm were a company that like made phones, right? Like Nokia, one of those, right? But they also developed hardware to make cell phone technology happen. So most of the radio towers that you see have a Qualcomm computer as their basis, right? That's what they do. It's infrastructure, right? So XCOM announced that they have invested $3 billion to not only doing what they've been doing, but they're incorporating it into what's called Web 3.0. So the dream of what 5G was supposed to be is happening. It's just taking a little bit longer. And he explained part of that was COVID. But the results that they've seen from their development are game changing. So the bandwidth to do XR day to day is happening for all of us. So outside of that, what does this mean? Yeah, it's really cool, and yeah, we can go buy new stuff, and yeah, we can do this and do that. The core principle of what I'm talking about is, how do we make this sustainable? How do we make XR virtual technology sustainable so that it's not a one-off, so that it just exists in what we do, right? And that's something that I think we all need to think about. And not just in making new stuff and buying new stuff, but how do we perpetuate this, right? And this goes back to what I talked about in the beginning. How does it make sense for us to perpetuate this in a way that's sustainable for society in general, right? Not just that we blow a bunch of money and it's really cool, fuzzy, cool 3D graphics, and put a headset on and wow, oh, that's awesome, right? It's more than that, right? And I looked at this guy. That's where I got the slides from. His name's Alex Lee. He's one of the senior futurists in XR technology, right? But as it applies to the world economy, right? And what his proposal is that it's very much synced with environmental sustainability, okay? ESG. So we have environmental sustainability, social responsibility, and governance, okay? And these three things make a circle. And not only to make new cool stuff, But the idea is that as we become more responsible stewards, the funds available for making that transition to making the quote metaverse exist is a one-to-one relationship. So for us, I'll skip this slide because I already kind of talked about it. The more extensive infrastructure concept and what that means and how do we build it. All of the, not only technology companies, but things like gas, power, and all of those things need to come in line in order to put the necessary excess funds in order for this to be perpetual, right? And this is something to think about on the corporate level. So, as a user, as a developer, what is key for us to make this happen? And it's actually kind of funny and interesting. And that is the gamification of technology. I work on this stuff all the time. I've been working on this stuff for 30 years. You know, technology historically has been very difficult. It's not fun. Usually there's some barrier that you find, some wall that makes it so that you can't get to your end goal, and then you have to come up with some creative solution in order to get there. But it's more than that. It's more like, what do we do every day? Shouldn't it be fun? Why not? You know, what we're doing every day doesn't need to be tedious, right? Like, part of what I do in my day-to-day job is I work for video game companies because it's fun. Because I get burned out on working engineering problems all the time, right? So why not? Why not make what we do fun? And I think that's really key for everything we do in the future, as users, as developers, is the gamification of everything we do, right? We all use computers every day, so why not make it a video game? Make it fun, right? So I have a couple of links there. We don't need to go through those because I think I'm going long. But if you're interested, look these up. There's a friend of mine in Las Vegas who's using Unreal Engine for developing civil engineering software. And it's actually fun to use. It's like drag and drop, things animate. You can see what happens instantaneously, and then it makes a cross section and animated video in like an hour. And that used to take weeks. And sometimes a team of like 10 people to make it happen, right? Arthrex, this is actually a link to what I did last year with my previous company. Pretty much applying the same principles to developing tools for surgery that have integrated holographic overlay for the user in the operating room. So, and there's my friend right there, Mr. Leo Weber. He used to work for me. So he's still on that team. And I think he's going to demo some of that stuff probably pretty soon. So, applause for Leo. So where are we now? And what do we need to do as AR, VR, XR developers or wanting to get into this space? And I think really beyond all the politics and the other stuff is we really need another level of middleware. You know, if we look back to where things were in the mid-90s, that was really the key that changed computer use as a user, is the creation of middleware for the ability that you didn't have to be a programmer in order to make cool stuff, right? So if you're a coder, if you're at all interested in getting into the space, look into creating middleware for use cases. And the main thing is new user interfaces and new user experiences. You know, as I started, what is the metaverse? We don't know. Does anybody know? You know? You know?
Mhm.
Well, you have an idea, right? But does that apply to everybody and all use cases?
Yeah.
Does it?
I think so.
I can shoot holes in that theory, but we'll talk later. This goes back to what I said before when I put my first graphic out. There's going to be buckets of use cases, right? And eventually, all of that stuff is all going to talk to each other. And that's the metaverse, right? So. Questions?
I have lots, but that's a separate thing. But one that I think everybody might benefit from is this idea of middleware.
Yeah.
The real big problem is that it's on all the slides. It's super complicated for somebody to understand. Like if you found the problem, right? You're like, okay, here's the problem, I want to solve it, and I think we need to display it in user interface, whatever it might be, and I want to make and solve that problem. The problem is, where does somebody start? How does somebody attain something at a level that they can understand and create without going into this, you know, unreal unity? I think NVIDIA's Omniverse. You know, but what captivates you? What's something that they can understand so they can get into it? And kind of create that middleware in that space to solve that problem.
Don't get overwhelmed, okay? Because it all leads back to the same place. Okay. If you have an idea, stick to that idea and research it. Okay. And it doesn't matter what platform you take. Just do it. So in small terms, as far as pipelines go, yeah, you said Unity, you said Unreal. Okay? Pick one. Okay? Start small. You have an idea that you want to do this big thing. Okay, it's really not that far. You can learn Unity, especially if you're a coder already. Okay, if you're not, then you need to learn how to code. Okay. So, but going from beginning to end could take 9 months. Really. If you, but that's, I think the key is narrowing down your problem. Right? Don't try to solve all the problems all at once. Right? You know, I want to be the Metaverse of car sales. Whatever, right? How do I sell a car online and show a car in 3D? Start there.
I'll follow up later.
Yeah.
But if we have time, we'll take all the other questions. And also, so it's pretty consistent with what we normally do. We go afterwards to record. And we will have some time to go through the program. So we'll take one more question.
We spoke about Metaverse, so they made Ready Player One.
Yeah. Yeah.
So everybody's in this game.
Yeah.
You mentioned something that they would really
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Would you say like someone just mentioned about car sales and then stepping from there into another world where do we go from there? Like the connection to that.
You'd be surprised. So if you make a thing, a small app, of a thing, all of that knowledge is completely transferable. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if it seems like it's completely off of left field.
Because when you deal with like
Yeah.
you're dealing with C#.
Yeah.
But now you have Node.js, which does front and back.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So then you're gonna deal with Unity, you gotta kind of like work with Node.js.
Well, okay. C# was based on Node.js back in the day, right? So the thing is, it depends on how deep you want to go. Okay. And I will say that any app that you develop, you're going to reach a place that's a dead end, and you're going to need to know how to code and rip stuff apart, put it back. Doesn't matter. Okay. So start small and take baby steps, and then reach that roadblock, and then figure out what that is. So, but I will say that as a foundation, C#, C++. Okay.
You're going with us to the,
Oh, yeah.
You go, right? Okay.
thank you.
All right, hold on. All right, hi everyone. My name is Evie. I am already introduced myself. I'm the founder of VR and ER of Southeast Florida. I don't have that extensive background. Most of my life I was working in tourism and hospitality because it was my profession of choice, and I'm still in this profession. But now I'm kind of transitioning into the metaverse, into virtual reality for travel industry. I am a metaverse world builder. Actually, it's actually exciting because I started getting paid recently. I got my first gig building somebody a movie theater because he wanted to bring his friends and show his documentary he's building. And then I got another project, a French coffee shop, which she's gonna teach people to order coffee in French, and she's actually opening it tomorrow. I'm gonna give you a little more information about that. And so my company is VR Travel Expo, which is a place where we bring travel enthusiasts and travel brands in the metaverse. Also I'm active with XR Women. They meet every Wednesday. If you're interested, it's in the metaverse and Verbella campus. And also we are as a group also part of Future Making Coalition. It's a little overview of my talk. I try to be brief. Introduction of overview, challenges for developers. So I'm going to be maybe touching up a little bit from like my perspective, what challenges I go through building metaverse, and I will give you an overview of the popular metaverse platforms, which you can actually take and go home and go really jump and hop on, hop off different metaverse platforms and how access and what to do. So as I said, what is metaverse? Actually, how many of you think that the internet is going to stay the way it is for the next 10 years? Right, so the metaverse is pretty much the next evolution of the internet. If you say a simple word, is a collection of apps, applications, 3D websites that already exist. So you access the metaverse as avatars, and the purpose of it is pretty much to entertain, to hang out, to have meetings, to teach, to learn something. It's actually a really fun place to be. And the metaverse is pretty much unlocking a lot of new economic possibilities, and companies that are reluctant and companies that kind of like sit back and wait it out are actually losing a lot of time, and it's going to be very, very hard for you to catch up later if you will be just waiting until everybody says, yeah, let's go in the metaverse. Like you have to start preparing now. And the way that you're preparing now, that Chad has actually mentioned, it was on one of his slides. Now in the recent pretty much month, maybe a month or two, I started getting, because I'm subscribed to Unity a lot, so I go through a lot of Unity education, Unity Learn, and they start talking about digital twin. So I always hear that, emails, digital twin, because what digital twin is doing, it's pretty much a virtual copy of an, it can be an asset or an entire environment that you can actually take and recreate some kind of like physical forces and movements. If you're building something and you don't want to, of course, of course you can do calculations, but game engines like such as Unity and Unreal, they have a special physics built in. So you just recreate the physical twin, digital twin, put in all the data that you need. I don't know, there's a big storm coming, right? If your building is going to stand that big, or seismic activity, right? Or like pretty much anything you want, you can recreate in the game engine. And then you can pretty much like make it's significantly improving decision making, and mistakes are dropping significantly when you're using that. And for example, that Black Shark AI, they're using a digital twin of entire cities for Microsoft Flight Simulation. Metaport, they are taking pictures of all the like interior buildings, and like I think they have like 300% increase in the interest of people in like those environments, like 3D environments, like maybe like a real estate or something like that, because people are more engaged when they go around and they walk around the actual 3D environment. So go next. So challenges for developers, and I think that we were talking about what Metaverse has to do in order to exist, the technology part of it and everything else. But actually one of the most important is that there is not going to be enough and not enough developers to actually make it happen, because there is like attempts to create a 3D scan, right? This your phone can scan something, but when you take the asset that the phone scanned and you bring it into 3D 3D environment, it's off. Like it's terrible. You have to clean it up. You have to cut off maybe 99% of what the scan gave you to make it usable in your 3D environment, because you don't want to bring that heavy unnecessary information. So challenges for developers are actually huge, and we need to make the metaverse a reality. Thousands and thousands of hundreds of thousands of developers, and it takes a lot of time to teach, right? Because the skill set is pretty And these are kind of jobs that we're gonna need. If you're looking into, maybe I have young people here, maybe if you're looking into like future careers, or you're thinking what you want to do, you want to kind of go over and see what those careers are. And a lot of times when you work for yourself and you're starting to develop your own platform and you want to create your own app, you are the one who actually is doing all of that, right? So this is the bottleneck for us to actually make Metaverse reality in 5 years. Right now, like today, hundreds of thousands of developers must start learning right now. So 4 years from now, they all have enough skills, but it's impossible. So that's why it's going to be a very slow process, but it is happening, and it's not going to be, there is no way back, you know? And this is some questions where, like, what kind of maybe skill set you require. A Metaverse developer will have understanding of that. You don't have to know, like, oh, this is different. Like, for example, these models, you don't have to know all of Blender, Maya, ZBrush. You can pick one and kind of focus on it because they're pretty much doing similar things. I personally use Blender because it's free, it's open source, and I like the kind of final product that comes out of it. ZBrush is awesome for sculpting. So that one for somebody who is more artistic, who wants to create like more really realistic assets. And 2D, of course, you have to know Photoshop because I use Photoshop all the time. How do you make this something, you know, like a texture? So the texture comes from you taking a picture and then kind of like working with normal maps and kind of doing this a little more realistic. Or cutting out and constantly Photoshop, let me cut it out, you know, like, let me attach it to my 3D model. And then you have audio programs where you have to work with your mixing audio, as you know, Visual Studio. This is where most of the work is done in programming. And then, of course, we mentioned Unreal Engine, Unity, A-Frame, and React 360. They are mostly for 360 websites. So they are a little bit complicated. They're more like JavaScript based and using GitHub kind of. But it's interesting, you know, so those volumetric websites that you see, they build with A-Frame or React 360. Unreal and Unity, they are kind of more advanced. So you can build an entire, as I said, like I mentioned before, like digital twin. They live in, will be living in Unreal or Unity. And scripting, C++ use Unreal, C#, Unity, and all of those 3JS framework, React 360. And other skills, you have to have this ability. Apparently, I didn't know, but not a lot of people think in 3D. I do think in 3D, like I can't do in 2D at all. Like even when I think about like making myself coffee, I'm thinking I'm getting myself coffee. So that's how I think. I don't think like in words. I think in what I see. So maybe that's why I'm so into Metaverse, because I'm seeing how it can be and how beneficial that can be for like a lot of people. Maybe there is big kind of connection, separation of people that don't like Metaverse and people who like, oh my gosh, this is what I want. You know, it's exactly how I see life, and this is how I want to live in my digital life. So maybe there will be studies done on that. I don't know. And you have to know basic math, geometry, physics, kind of knowing what to Google if you need to, and how to make it happen in the game engine. And of course, you always will have your worlds breaking nonstop, because the companies that you work with, they are always updating, right? There's no such thing that they built an engine 2 years ago and that's it, right? So they always, like every year or every like 6 months or something, they push an update, your whole world breaks, and then you're like, what is going on? Nothing works, and then you just like start from scratch, and then you want to give up, but then you don't. You know, you just push forward. So again, we mentioned already about the types of Metaverse platform. It's education, remote work, and actually I would like to add science, of course, and engineering. I think this is, as you say, I don't know how I missed that. And so e-commerce, but like a lot of people think that Metaverse is the blockchain and NFT. It's actually not really the case. Here I made a table and I will share with you. So this these platforms are not on blockchain. That means that when you log in, you don't have to give them crypto wallet, right? So they don't accept any payments. They don't need anything. That there's nothing really going on in terms of buying and selling. However, for example, Altspace VR is one of the platform of my choice. So I live in Outspace VR and I build my world for Outspace VR. They have certain worlds that showcasing art, for example, and then they have a link to OpenSea or link to some other crypto websites, right? So, but inside Outspace, you can't do any transactions in crypto. And here I made kind of a little bit of, actually took this information, kind of cleaned it up a little bit from a VR World Builder Collective. If you're interested in that space, this is the Facebook group that you should join, because we're very active and we always post like kind of news and share worlds and always have people come out and check out our world. So it's a really good group. And we did that, this table. Meta Horizon Worlds is currently closed to, and I think they like literally going to come out anytime into the public. It has very good reviews. People who have access to better versions, they're very happy. You can build up entire worlds there inside Meta. They give you tools, they give you 3D models, they give you like blocks, and then they also have scripting there, so you can use internal scripting to build some kind of like interactive application or interactive games inside Facebook Horizon, Meta Horizon. And VRChat, you know, it's very popular. I don't love VRChat personally because I like seeing avatars of people. Like I like them to be human looking. VRChat, you can be a cockroach. Like I went there and there's like literally somebody's like on the floor. You know, there's somebody like robots and weird people, animals. So I don't feel comfortable. But VRChat has this great feature of like separating into rooms. So you don't have to be like in one room with people. You can make a private instance. So you go there by yourself. But they do have a lot of really cool things in VRChat. Engage VR, actually I have on my on this slide, when you click, I have actually, hold on, let me show you. I made comments over here. So if you want to come home and maybe open it up, so all of this information, what they are and what to do there. Frame is the easiest way to enter and create Metaverse, use our template, also upload your own, etc., etc. Spatial, doing thousands of user posts to virtual galleries and events, beautiful artists, build spaces. So Engage VR is an advanced virtual reality platform that brings together teams effectively host live meetings with employees, partners, customers. So Engage VR, they are big on education. So a lot of people, a lot of times, teachers, they're using that. And actually, Metaversities, there's a project that 10 universities are, you know, kind of joined together, and they create a digital twin of their university, like 100% copy of the campus, and they're going to be having certain events there. And actually, we have in September, the company that's coming, Optima Education, they're a charter company, they are using Engage. So they already having classes there for the students as a part of the curriculum. And of course, Roblox, I think Roblox has like 37+ million users every day. So they're huge. And another one I have, hold on. So this one I mentioned that they're not on blockchain. These are the ones that are on blockchain. And also I have also here the comments. CryptoVoxel, Monet Gallery, Sensor, and then some of them require land purchase. So you have to come in and switch piece of land and connect it with the wallet. And Decentraland is pretty much, I don't know, like a catalog of crypto-based worlds, I think. Decentraland is where all of this, the Wendy has their own place, and Chase opened up a place, and then Nike selling, you know, their collection. And then there's Rodeo Drive of Decentraland, where they have like, I don't know, like car dealership. Decentraland is like a community-owned place that are like, nobody owns it, like community owns it. They have a certain amount of plots where people are buying. And all right, so yeah. and Sandbox and Virginia. Do you want to say anything about Virginia? We were talking. So Virginia is an interesting level to pay attention to because you can use that to do your own world. And also, a lot of them, you can see here if they allow scripting or not. If you have a question like where to start as a company, like you said, just start anywhere. If you have a company or something, start building in 3D, like recreating whatever you're creating in 3D. And then kind of like slowly either pick a platform that you like to bring it in or put it on the Oculus, maybe side load it on Oculus, you know, and then slowly, because like Meta has, I was thinking to do a talk on that, but then I have to find a speaker because, for example, Meta has the avatars SDK. So you don't have to go create all of your avatar system. They give you a package, you use it, and there is like XR interaction toolkit in Unity. So you load it up, it gives you already hand tracking controls, pretty much everything set up. Plus you're using avatars, Meta Avatar SDK, which avatars that you already set up when you get your Oculus, the same avatar is going to be in the world. So all you have to do is pretty much learn Unity, bring in your digital twin, bring in XR interaction toolkit, SDK, and then you're pretty much ready to go publish it on SideQuest. Okay. So, and then this one is one of my favorites. So this one is, if you want to go to Unity to learn, it's incredible amount of information about for developers, and now they became a part of the RER Association, and I'm so happy because now they finally woke up and they're like, oh my God, Metaverse is coming, everybody's using Unity, and they started pushing a lot of really cool talks. There is a talk called Road to the Metaverse, which gives you like step-by-step instruction how to start from scratch and pretty much build out the whole entire thing like an app. Start thinking about, take first steps, and then you'll be great. All right, so if you are like confused, if you're like, what's going on? I'm not gonna get anything from this talk, too much information. If you wanna maybe take a picture or I'll show you the slides. This is all the worlds that I built for Alphys VR. As you say, I can't use for the most part because Alphys doesn't really allow a lot of like scripting or anything like that. So these are fun worlds that I built like to test my skills. So this is the movie theater I met, this is the French coffee shop, which actually she asked for permission from the owner, and it's the actual French coffee shop, and they said yes, you can do it, and it's cool. And then I have New York City and Giraffe World and stuff. And these are the code, and I'm gonna jump into VR, and I'm gonna show you how to access that. And one last slide, I think I have. Yes, okay. I would like to, hold on, let me see something. Hold on. Okay. Second. Okay, here. So this one is my company that I'm building, pretty much get inspired to travel because I'm so passionate and I've been talking about it. I'm building something in travel forever. And I think I have something going on really good, and I'm going to show you. And I hope that I will open it up in a couple of weeks because I have just a few things to finish up. And if you want to learn about countries or just like get inspired to travel, just hop in and hang out. And I hope that we're going to have meetings there. And we hope to bring travel industry. Okay. Any questions?
So you said the land, nobody owns.
Well, it's the community owned.
Oh, okay.
So they have a certain amount of plots there. And you can go on the central land and they will give you available plots. And how much is this? The cheapest one I saw was $5,000.
But who takes that land?
Who takes the money?
What's that?
If you buy a land, who takes
Decentralized is not really complete. The concept of the
oh,
company still, it's not like an open source software. That's why I was talking about it's actually open source. So, hey, for example, plan, separate space, you pay for a service. Decentralized doesn't work like that. So it's a lot of centralizing, but it's
So-
three buckets. Each one of those buckets is owned by someone, right? So ultimately, we're going to have Meta Metaverse, we're going to have Google Metaverse, we're going to have Microsoft Metaverse, we're going to have the Charles Schwab Metaverse, right? However they decide to bucket, right? Whether or not they all join forces, that's wild west.
All right.
I have one question. Paul mentioned something about optimization. This has been a huge issue for me. I could never have solved it. It's this idea that, as soon as you find a pipeline to optimize, the other, they optimize, they have another problem. You have to optimize that problem. And it never ends. I just wonder, do you ever see this happening where it's getting better, where you need to optimize less? I think soon.
It is getting better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's slowly getting better.
Because that's
I mean,
that's what's really stopped me from a lot of what I do is that process.
It's gonna be hard. It's not gonna be ever easy ever. It's a very from my personal point of view is that I develop again for all states all the time. It's getting better, like the performance is getting better, but the fact that you have to jump through so many hoops, a lot. Like you have to be like, and there's not a lot of information. You cannot just do it. So you always have to go to the source and read something. Like for example, a month before the big update they have to do, like last year, they were talking install Unity 9.8 whatever, 3.9. I'm like, okay, let's do it, let's go. So I installed that Unity, and there's hundreds of different versions of Unity, but they said this particular one, right? So I'm installing it. We're building my world, months and months of work, like we build them all, publish them all, work fine. How people suck? I can't figure it out. I'm like, what is going on? Lagging or something breaking. I'm like, not really working that well. And there was bothering me. I'm like, there's nothing in the world, nothing. It's clean, the cleanest world I can get you. Still nothing. Turns out somehow, someone through the crack, they said, by the way, that's not the version you're going to use. You're going to use a different version. I had to go, I'm like, no, tell me when that happened. So I have to go through the Discord channel to October, find that sentence when they said that they changed the version. I was like, no, that's not what I know. So, October. So, and that's what you can work. It's hard. It's very hard.
It's a very long, things like that. Everybody had to switch to the version. Redo everything on that for a year.
Yeah, well, this is where ultimately becomes the biggest problem. All my clients don't get it. They don't know that, okay, that's gonna break and they have to somehow pay for it, and they don't.
But the clients understand, like I was working with my client, and she totally understood. She was like, yeah, that's fine, because her, pretty much, I was working with her, I was like, what is happening? And she was like, take your time, it's fine. We figured it out, and we figured it out, and she was happy, and there was no complaint that, oh my gosh, you don't know what you're doing. Like, it was like, oh, it's okay, let's figure it out. So it's fine. It shouldn't be like the main for like the main proposals should be like a part of the package maybe, and make it like a main break and look at the bullet points for that.
I don't wanna, crush everything that was just said. That's fine. To 3 years, to be able to
So it's kind of like starting or you make a bunch of LEDs and have it go.
that's the
I have a question. How many of you ever used the Oculus Quest? You have a crowd here? No? All right, so for those who didn't, so this is pretty much the Oculus Quest home. And it's nice, they have different versions, but they don't like to switch it. Doesn't like this particular environment. Oh, okay. Casting?
Yes.
All right, so what time do I have? Okay, let me
Fine.
quick.
Just find out we have a little more time.
So this is the one that app, I pretty much live in it every single day.
And when,
And I want to just kind of show you a couple of worlds, how you can enter that.
yeah,
Yes.
is one of these one?
I tried to run with my head.
The
so it
bottom one?
doesn't-
Okay.
All right, so this one
Did I
is
go down?
the main
That's better, right?
screen that you get when you log in, and you can choose to go into the events, or you can go to enter code, and if you want those codes that I gave you, you can come here and enter. Or you can go to main menu, and you have to have world beta turned on. You'll find it, I think, in settings. You have to go somewhere into settings and turn it on. If you've never been, you have to have world beta, otherwise you're not going to be able to see. Oh, here, enable world beta. If it's off, you can't see worlds, but you have to turn it on. And then when I go to worlds, and here the feature, we have NFT, remember guys, we have the NFT Oasis World Tour. It was really fun. This is the featured world. And then the popular ones are how many people are in the world. You know, sometimes, usually, the campfire has like 20 people. Let me see how many people. Here's campfire is 19 people. I don't know, should I go there?
Yes.
Look at such talking.
Well, you mentioned, but you don't have to have a fixed to go on my space.
Oh yeah, yeah. I have it in my tablet.
But it's much better.
So I'm now muted. Nobody can hear me. There's nothing to do. You just come here now, introduce yourself, find people to check out your worlds. When people come to you, actually, people from like France and India, they really like to come really close to you in your face. They don't give you a lot of space. This one is like. And then you can see there's so many different events that people are doing. There is a VR church, they come to meet, and this is like world building for all space VR in terms of MREs. This one is actually before the. Okay, and then if you go to worlds, my worlds, here's all the worlds that I have here. This is the the one that I'm actually working on. I hope someone is gonna open because I just pushed the number. It's private, nobody can see it. So I'm only releasing it maybe in a couple of weeks. It's called VR Travel Expo. This update only, I mean, this download time only when there's a new update. Usually it's still. So this is my main wall. From here, you'll be able to go to the cruise ship, and there you'll be able to go down in the underwater wall, which I have already. I'm just going to connect them. And this is the place where you can travel a lot more travel destinations. I spent a lot of time trying to define how it's going to look and how it's going to be possible. So I came up with this main hallway where I'm going to feature 20 countries, which are the most popular kind of destinations, or destinations that I like to go to. So I'm focusing on them. They feature 10 kind of the most fun things to do in this place. As I said, like Altspace doesn't allow scripting, so I can't really click and open. But when I build my own app, you'll be able to click and it'll be like, hopefully it will just draw in different itineraries, different logs and everything that's related to that place. And on this wall, I hope that I will have travel providers and guides and everything services that are, specific to United Kingdom. And here I'm going to have a little pin where you can communicate. And also will be a little info here with some useful information. So I'm almost done with all of them. I have 20. I think I have left. Turkey. And here I have booths that will be designed to group by kind of interest. Like for example, original and unusual types of lodging. You'll say, okay, I really want to go to glamping or igloo. So you click on it, and I'm building now igloo, and you'll be in the igloo, and there will be like information where the world is to go spend the night in the igloo. And there will be like packages and how tour operators sort it out for you. And I have Jungle Watch already built. So I'm working on filling out that information, like the best jungle watches around the world, as well as underwater hotels. And then I have this here for solo travelers. If you're a solo traveler, what kind of country is most safe for you to go to? And then in the portal, when I built all the countries, and every country will have their own separate world, where like which was Switzerland. And I hope that I will get connection with the countries' visitor offices so they can come to. And I finished cultural travel is the most popular UNESCO heritage sites around the world. So I like travel books. I really like collecting travel books. It's expensive, so I thought that I would just copy the size of the books and make myself like putting friends here to hang out. And here on this wall, I hope that I will have like an Amazon storefront of all the travel books. Also here, I have many things page. stage. Not sure what to do about that stage. And this will be like essential new application. I might build it with both, I'm not sure. And that's it pretty much. Yeah, and then I already have a cruise ship and other will guys can check it out. On my worlds, they all 100% made from scratch. They were built in Blender and then imported in Unity and then push them to Allspace. But if you are new to that, you can go to Allspace and they give you a bunch of templates which you can use. And there is actually a template that's just like called a pork, I think. It's very much like a green metal, little one, like a little park with nothing, and you can use the kits, the assets that they have. They have a ton. They have a ton of assets. Like people build entire worlds with just what they have for free. There's city like assets or nature assets or whatever you want, and then it's a cool place to start. I think it's more comfortable for me.
But are there any things that on the wall itself in Allspace VR that you can actually have a video or something that shows an animation?
I shouldn't have exited, but actually that will be one of the topics I'm going to talk about. There's a thing called shaders, and shaders are, you can script shaders in Unity for Allspace. Other like regular C# they don't allow, but shaders using Shader Lab, like HSSL, something like that language. And you can use like a flip book, which is going to do like a slideshow, or you can do like I did. Oh my God, you should see how happy I was. I scripted lava. So I have my lava is flowing, you know, the animated lava is flowing. So you can do that. But another way to animate is to use the animator control in Unity, right? So they have this timeline thing, which you can use, like move this place to that place, where if you rig an object, if the object is rigged, you can also animate that.
It was more interested in like on the wall itself, that, you know, seeing the plane on instead of having it still, if you can move.
Yeah.
And not just as a texture, but like you have like it's Costa Rica, right? You see, you know, what's in Costa Rica.
Okay, so it's a little different because they have a web projector in their web projector, but the web projector works is that you have to install an extension to the web projector of Allspace. So there's a special package that will be living in kind of on top of your website, but actually only Microsoft, right? Only Microsoft, doesn't work on Chrome. And then you copy the link and you put it in the web projector, and it's going to be playing, but it has to be playing on your computer. You know, like there's no way. I tried it multiple times, but in order for the movie player to play, there's something else has to be, like, I don't know. Do you know? I was never. Yeah, like you can't really do like a video with that.
Or you can do a better video.
Yeah.
Right? But it's generally 45 seconds. Do a bad work.
Upon this, what's the Bob on it? A video in a, that will be, it's going to be funny.
I can use sound. I know I can use sound, but I have to play with video. I'm gonna play with it and let you know. I tried several times and all I get is black screen. It doesn't work video unless you have a web projector, which also can lag a lot. So yeah, they're working on it, I think.
Sure.
someone would like to play with you, they can play with your pet, etc. So how about so we tell you we take care of the people. We're gonna shoot the lead and completely out. Right? So at 8:85 for everybody is what I want to join us in downtown Wisconsin Center. Break out. Thank you very much. I just want to say thanks to everybody. That really allows us to have.
Thank you. We're shutting down the Zoom. Thank you, everybody.